Shedeur Sanders is putting pressure on the Browns as we love to see what's going on. Buff Nation, Colorado, um, yeah, or Cleveland Browns fans as well. We're going to be talking all about Shedeur and why I think that, man, his playing time, it's inevitable at this point, and people are starting to warm up to this. I love it. We're going to take a look at the big updates that we've seen over the last day or so regarding his snaps, where he's at on the depth chart, but also take a look at some quarterbacks like Brock Purdy, Dak Prescott, Kirk Cousins. These are guys drafted later that ended up becoming very, very good starting quarterbacks. And again, I think Shedeur is inevitable at this point. So y'all be sure, smash that like, subscribe. Let's go ahead and get into it. So I found this pretty interesting. I think this was the first time that Shedeur Sanders actually led the team in reps in practice yesterday on Monday, August 11th. 10 of 14, 2 touchdowns. Now, I'm not sure how that was divvied up between 7-on-7s and the 11-on-11 period, but I love to see Joe Flacco. Okay. He's going to be the guy to start the year. Now, for how long that is, I don't think it's going to be very long. I think he's like locked for this roster. I think Shedeur Sanders is a lock for this roster. Probably Dylan Gabriel as well. But Kenny Pickett, man, he has his work cut out for him. 5 of 5, 3 touchdowns. Dylan Gabriel, 7 of 10, 3 touchdowns. You know, that's great. But I was surprised by this. And I think you saw like really people in the NFL media start to actually, you know, be slightly outraged about this, which is, again, this is kind of annoying again with these preseason depth charts. Very rarely do they ever put rookies up at the top, even if they are getting a lot of reps. Like, for instance, with the Broncos, Sean Payton puts all of them at the bottom of the depth chart. And you saw RJ Harvey start for them in preseason, but he's still like 4th or 5th on the depth chart. It's ridiculous. Seems like NFL coaches do this all the time throughout preseason. How are you putting Shedeur number 4 on the depth chart, and then he's leading the team in reps on Monday? I think it's just typical NFL bull junk. The thing that I care more about, again, is the fact that he's getting more reps. 10 of 14, 2 touchdowns, which is great to see. Now, I thought that these comments as well were pretty interesting from, Tony Rizzo. Listen in.
Give me your you go into week 1. Give me your projected 1, 2, 3. Who's on the sidelines for the Browns? Who's starting quarterback?
So your starter is Joe Flacco. Your 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, who's the backup? Sunday, September 7th.
Kenny Pickett and Dylan Gabriel.
Man. If I'm Shedeur, I'm sitting 4th on a depth chart. I know I'm better than that. I know I am. But if I go into that September 7th game against the Bengals and I got Dylan Gabriel and Kenny Pickett in front of me, man, I ain't going to be a happy camper.
I feel the same way. And yeah, definitely Shedeur would feel slighted. But again, I feel like his play, we're going to see him play well against the Eagles. His play is going to be inevitable to where the Browns aren't going to be able to deny it. That's how I feel about this thing. When you take a look to, again, just look at his week 1 performances. We covered this a little bit yesterday. I thought I was following the Dogs. Anyways, you can see Shedeur Sanders had the highest PFF grade out of all the different rookie quarterbacks who played throughout the preseason of note, including, Quinn Ewers, which, there's one particular guy on Twitter that had him as his QB1. He doesn't know anything. But Shedeur Sanders, you saw him make some of these incredible throws. Here's one from Chase Daniel that he was breaking down. This might have been my favorite throw. I think this was on like a 3rd and 15. But you can see, man, Shedeur just hanging tough in the pocket, keeping his eyes downfield. You can see you got a rush of a couple guys coming in, anticipating before this dig route breaks, and he's already throwing it. Hopefully he shows the throw here. Look at this. 2 guys in his face. This is my favorite throw of the night from Shedeur last week. and you can see taking a hit and just throws a strike, throwing guys open. I mean, he's already winding up to throw that before that break is even made. This is not typical for rookie quarterbacks to be making like this. And to me, I don't think it matters, to be quite honest, what Dylan Gabriel, what these other quarterbacks do. Because Shedeur's better than those guys. Like, if you've watched him throughout college, man, you know. And I think a lot of these guys, Chris Sims, Mike Florio, they had some great things to say about Shedeur as well. I talked a little bit about that yesterday. But again, this is not typical. And once the season starts, your draft capital, it does not matter. And looking at other guys like Dak Prescott, Kirk Cousins, we can talk about Brock Purdy as well. Brock Purdy's a little bit different of a situation, but these guys were prepared. They were impressing coaches in practice when the lights weren't on, and then when they got their opportunity, they balled out. So I wanted to get to that, and then I'll get to some of your comments, which I'm sure y'all have. Again, please be sure to like and subscribe. We're on our way to world domination. Like 15K, I guess, is the next big milestone. But let's take a look at Dak Prescott. 4th round pick. Now, some of you guys might forget that Dak fell, I think, partially because, well, one, he ended up missing his Broncos visit flight during the pre-draft process. That's never a good sign. And I'm sure that affected other NFL teams on just like not drafting the dude. That's never a good look. But he also had a DUI leading up to the draft as well. But you can see here, let me go ahead and move in. You can see here week 1 against the Rams. 10 of 12, 139 yards, 2 touchdowns. Really, really good. And then you saw him play phenomenally that second week against the Dolphins, going 12 of 15 for 199 yards. And again, 2 touchdowns. Of course, Tony Romo getting hurt, also played a part in this. But, before all that, I mean, they were even talking about him as a guy who was going to push Tony Romo quickly. And you saw him show out, again, play above where his draft capital was. And, Cowboy fans and maybe other NFC East fans will, crap on Dak. But he's a very good quarterback. He's a very good quarterback. I still consider him a top 10 quarterback. I think he's done a lot with not a lot of talent around him. That's just me. But Dak has definitely outplayed that 4th round draft slot. Another guy who has outplayed that 4th round draft slot is Kirk Cousins. Now, Kirk Cousins, maybe not necessarily the franchise quarterback or former franchise quarterback you want to mimic, but he's played a long time, started a lot of games, and he's made a lot of money. So, it's really not that bad. Now, when you look at his preseason, it was kind of weird because you also had RG3, who was drafted, I think it was 2nd overall, right after Andrew Luck, right? And didn't get like a ton of, or didn't have like a ton of success that first week. 9 of 22 for 74 yards. I mean, look at that, 3.4 yards per attempt. But then you saw against the Bears, 18 of 23 for 264 yards, 3 TDs. And he also played very well in week 4, 15 of 27 for 222. Did have a pick. But again, it's just about showing those flashes to make those NFL throws. And then you saw in his first really game action filling in for RG3 week 15 against the Browns, ironically, you saw him play very, very well. A 104.4 quarterback rating, 26 of 37 for 329 yards. How about that? 2 touchdowns and a pick. How about that essentially for your, your first debut pretty much, had a little bit of other time prior. Then lastly, I want to get to Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy was a guy that if, you were saying, hey, I'm a big Brock Purdy guy pre-draft, I would not have believed you. Okay. I just wouldn't have. This is a great example of, guys like Kyle Shanahan and, being able to find guys that fit their system well, right? That maybe weren't all-star level guys in college, but clearly have leveled up and gotten even better during their time in the NFL. Now, Brock Purdy didn't play at all in the preseason. And if you remember, I mean, they had Jimmy G. They had Trey Lance. It was kind of a little bit of a mess, right? And took some injury before Brock Purdy actually got on the field. Again, did not play at all in preseason, but you saw making his first start here against the Miami Dolphins, 25 of 37, 210 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. And again, they go on a huge winning streak. They go to the NFC championship game against the Eagles and get destroyed. But with a 7th round pick, I mean, now that he's been extended, man, nobody looks at Brock Purdy by his draft capital. Nobody looks at Kirk Cousins by his draft capital. Nobody looks at Dak Prescott by his draft capital. It's more of looking at him in terms of where you would rank him in terms of tiers of starting NFL quarterbacks. And those types of assets have tremendous value no matter where they're at in your own personal ranking. And so, again, when we take a look at what Shedeur did, man, it wasn't just being 16 of 23 for 140 yards and some change. It was also the 2 touchdown throws that he had perfect placement on. It was his maneuverability in the pocket. It was his standing tall in the pocket in the face of pass rush and just delivering darts, man. These are the types of flashes that we have seen from other day 3 quarterbacks over the last 10 years that were underdrafted. I think it's safe to say that Shedeur Sanders was underdrafted. To me, I think if he goes out and plays really well this week against the Eagles, I think it's only inevitable, man, because the fans see it, the owners see it. You can see, man, Tony Rizzo, for instance, some of the other guys covering Cleveland sports, man, they see it, man. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to see who has arm talent in the NFL and who doesn't. All right. So that's how I'm feeling about this today. I think Shedeur is in a great position. Again, depth charts with the NFL. These coaches, they're just always throwing the rookies to the bottom. But I think it is a big takeaway that you saw him lead the team in reps in yesterday's period. We'll see what information comes out today about this, but this is a great sign. And again, I'm really not one to believe, again, that there was nobody in the Browns organization that didn't want Shedeur. Again, got to remember they traded up to get him. Now, it could have been the owner. It could have been Andrew Berry, all of that. But again, these guys have their jobs on the line. These coaches, they're going to give the most slack to these veterans, or rather Joe Flacco. I don't understand why Kenny Pickett's on this roster, man. He sucks. We've seen enough of Kenny Pickett. Joe Flacco has a Super Bowl title. He's respected throughout the NFL. He might not be that great, but he's a fine bridge quarterback, man. He's a fine bridge quarterback. But what these coaches want to do is win, because they're all on the hot seat, maybe except just a few like Andy Reid. They're all on the hot seat. They're going to play the players that they trust the most. Now, John Milkoff has brought up, if you listen to him or haven't listened to him, I would suggest that you check him out, because I do like John Milkoff, as opposed to that first-round mock draft guy who's just a glorified secretary for the New York Jets. John Milkoff was an actual scout within the Eagles organization. He's been in media now and doing podcasting for a while now, but I really like his content. And he was saying earlier today how, some of these NFL coaches can get so locked in on who knows my system in and out, who can I trust with the playbook completely, all this stuff. But then these guys go out there in preseason or in backup situations, man, they totally crap the bed. And it's important not to get too locked into that. You have to just be loyal and partial at the end of the day to what you're seeing play out on the field. And what John Milkoff was saying in his podcast today was you saw Shedeur go out there with 2s and 3s and just freaking light it up, make guys better. The pass rush, it did not deter the offense from looking great and scoring. He was putting guys in position to succeed. So, and again, this is in his first start. So I love what John Milkoff had to say, but I'll get to a few of your comments. This won't be the longest live stream, but really do appreciate all of you guys. Of course, be sure to smash that like, subscribe, and most importantly, join the chat, man. I Really love to see this, man. That Shedeur's leading the team in reps. Shiesty! There's something there's something Shedeur. Sorry, let me start over. There's something about Shedeur the Browns don't like. And I think that this is pretty similar to what we saw in Washington years ago, with there being a pretty clear divide within the organization on Kirk Cousins and RG3. You know, there are two different camps. To me, that's kind of what it seems with Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur. Again, I'm at least on the flip side, it's great to see them not actually give Tyler Huntley any more reps, right? Maybe you should have just played Shedeur the whole game. But yeah, at the end of the day, Shedeur is inevitable. He's a first-round talent. We know that. I think a lot of the draft people know that, you know, such as Mel Kiper. And again, when you're going up against a guy like Dillon Gabriel and Joe Flacco, it's only going to be inevitable at some point because, again, we only have one game to show from this, but the play on the field speaks for itself. And hopefully that is, you know, if Kevin Stefanski and these guys, you know, want to keep their job longer, they will be partial to putting the best players out on the field, which I do think happens more often than not. But like John Middlecoff said, sometimes there can be these stubborn coaches that are more partial to, can I trust this guy with the playbook completely, rather than how is this guy playing during the game situations. And I'm not trying to say that Shedeur isn't bright, can't pick up the system. We all know that Shedeur is an incredibly bright quarterback and very naturally gifted. Again, when we were showing that clip from Chase Daniel, you see him identify that deep dig route on 3rd and 15 is going to be open. He throws it open, stands tall, takes a hit in the end zone to do that. It's a bright quarterback. We'll have to see what Stefanski does, but you know this owner, right? He's taking note of what's going on, man. And I do think that with the success that Joe Flacco had in Cleveland, a couple years ago, I think they brought him back as like part of a nod to that. I really do. And I think the fans see it, the people in the media see it, aside from like a couple people with other pretty clear agendas. He's the most talented quarterback they have on the roster. I think it's only inevitable before he gets time this year. And then after that, let's go, baby. It's going to be fun. Oh, yeah. I see you corrected yourself. Sorry, man. Let's see. Gualo, here's their golden ticket. They're not going to let them go. I hope for Browns fans' sake that they don't. And I say this every single Shedeur video that I do now, guys. So you guys are probably getting sick of this, but if the Browns are going to find their franchise quarterback, man, they're going to have to do it in the most Browns way possible. They've done what everybody else has done. You know, take the guys at the top of the draft, have those first-round picks, traded for a guy, right? Traded for a Pro Bowl quarterback in Deshaun Watson. Now, his shoulder was kind of screwed after a while, but they've done all the typical stuff, and it just hasn't worked. So maybe, again, if there's one quarterback who can rise above dysfunction that has showed the ability to do that, it is Shedeur. Jackson State, dead in the water before Prime and Shedeur rolled up there. Obviously, I got CU shirt on, got my CU degree in the background. We were Power 4 or G5 bound before these guys came in. And you might meme us for going 4-8 in 2023. You don't understand how bad that team was, man. The fact that we won 4 games shows you how great Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter are. Okay? New being. David, I want the depth chart to stay exactly how it is. Shedeur proved he belongs. Ball up top, DG and Kenny Pickett. Yeah, let's see if they sink or swim. That's a fair point. Because, again, to me, the depth chart, I'm not freaking out about it because Shedeur passed. He got an A. He got an A last week. And I'm very confident that the next time he gets out there, he's going to get another A grade. That's just what we've seen from him, man. Yeah, man. Time to hoop. Absolutely. Yeah. there's a lot of pressure. That's why I had this in my thumbnail too. Thanks for bringing this up, Newbie. Dillon Gabriel and Kenny Pickett, man, the pressure is really on these guys to come out there and perform, because if they don't do that against the Eagles, man, we know what Shedeur is going to do. We know he's going to play well, and he's going to flash. Again, like, in my opinion, this is just me, but when I'm looking at preseason, like, it's great to see the high completion percentage and the touchdowns and not a lot of turnovers, right? Like, all that stuff is great. But what I'm most interested in seeing is just those flashes of NFL throws, the ability to scramble. Like, you just want to see flashes of them. If you're not seeing flashes going up against, 2s and 3s doing that, then I think there's some cause for concern. And it's not just at the quarterback position. It's pretty much any rookie, like anywhere. You just want to see those upside plays where they're showing that things are clicking. That's what Shedeur did, man. Kenny Pickett being a first-round bust, he has his work cut out for him. Dillon Gabriel. I think that there's been, because he was drafted so high, because he was drafted ahead of Shedeur, man, he's in a weird situation that he shouldn't be in either. Because in my opinion, I just don't see him as like a legitimate franchise starting quarterback where that, Shedeur, he's got that. Sandra Davis, Shedeur is fine. Yes, everything is going, maybe not according to plan, but Shedeur is controlling what he can control, and he's winning the reps. He's winning the locker room. Sounds like he's been a wonderful teammate, as that would be assumed from his time, I know, here at Colorado. I love to see him and Myles Garrett chopping it up on the sideline after Shedeur was, running around like Patrick Mahomes. Now, I got to say, man, like, we know Shedeur can run, man, but even I was surprised, man, when he did that spin move on Panthers rookie Nick Scorton out of Texas A&M. Boo. Yeah, I don't like the Aggies, but you saw him chopping it up about that, joking along with Myles along the sideline, and then just kind of picking his brain on, hey, when you're going after a scrambling quarterback, what are you focusing on? What are you looking at? Are you looking at his feet? Are you looking at, where his head's at, shoulders, all that sort of stuff? Like, Shedeur's doing the right things, man. He's doing. Yes, Lady C, I'm trying to be on a little bit more often since it's, it's finally football season. I'm just inspired to talk more now. So you'll see more of me as you do every football season. And guys, please go check out Lady C, putting out fantastic content as well over on her channel. Peace and love, everybody. And remember, man, this is what I love too. This stuff is fun. It's fun to talk about. And I can't wait to see how this stuff transpires. Oh, man. I spelled Purdy wrong. I'll have to change that in the description, man, when I'm done. Thanks, Chase. How one feels. Shedeur Sanders is an NFL fan favorite. The Cleveland Browns are just milking the guts up for more money and headlines. It's hella obvious. Well, it's not like Cleveland hasn't done that before, right? So I'm sure that's part of the case. Now, I forgot to mention this. Maybe I'll do an in-depth breakdown on this. Got to verify this, but I guess there was a report that Shedeur has a clause in his contract to receive like a larger payout for like all of his merch sales with the Browns. Maybe that also pissed off other NFL owners, which is why he also fell. Mike Florio talked about that. Yesterday, I mentioned, again, that Shedeur he wasn't going to kiss the ass. And now you're seeing of NFL owners. And now you see there's going to be some NFL GMs, man, with some egg on their face. You see the Rams, man, they're in an absolute disaster right now where Matt Stafford just can't throw the ball. He was supposed to be back, and he's got a back injury again. This is a team that's trying to make the playoffs again, make another Super Bowl run. And it's looking like it's down to Jimmy G. The Saints. Enough said. Raiders. Enough said. It's crazy, man. What do you think what happens if Dillon does not show up against the Eagles? I still think they keep Dillon because of their investment. Really the only third-round pick. There are 2 third-round picks that I can remember. I'm sure this has happened more often, but them not making it out of training camp. One was forever ago with my Broncos, Maurice Corrett, who was literally showing up to practice drunk. So they cut him, sadly. He was dealing with all that. Glad that he's sober now, got his life together. And then there was a draft pick. I want to say it was for the Raiders a few years ago, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, from Kentucky. I can't remember his name. I think his last name started with a B or something, but he was like a quarterback, jack of all trades type of guy, played a little bit of wide receiver, running back as well. They picked him in the 3rd round, and then they traded him to Miami after the preseason ended, and I don't think we ever saw anything from him. So I think Dylan Gabriel is going to have to be like absolutely horrible if they're ever going to like move on from him. But I do think that it's only inevitable at this point, man. If he doesn't show up, he's going to be knocked down there on the depth chart, man, to the quarterback 3. I would still have Dylan Gabriel over Kenny Pickett. You know what Kenny Pickett is right now, man. And I still think Dylan Gabriel, he's a sharp guy. He's got some limitations, but he also has some good qualities that I think can keep him in the NFL for quite a while as a good backup. Like I wasn't expecting him to get drafted on day 2, not at all. So I was like, man, he'd be a good fit in the Broncos system, as like a practice squad quarterback. But that's not what he was drafted to do. I think, again, it's totally Brownsy to see this kind of – the guy with more upside was drafted in the 5th round as opposed to the 3rd round. But I think, again, once the season hits, man, none of that stuff matters. It's about how you're playing. And I could see Dylan and Shedeur both being here for quite a while. Yeah, Shedeur's still practicing with the 3s, man, and it's hella annoying, but he's going to be able to kill it, man. He's going to be able to kill it when he gets his opportunity. And like Nubian was saying earlier today in the stream, let's just see what he can do, or Dylan and Kenny Pickett go up and do against the Eagles. We'll see. But I know, man, when Shedeur gets his shot, he's going to play well. Man. That's all we've ever seen from him, man. He's going to make great decisions. Hey, Duke, what's going on, man? Go Buffs Nation Daily. Hope you're doing well. Hey, the refs like Shedeur too. Incoming Brady Mahomes whistle. Hey, I hope for Shedeur's sake that's the case. Rookies normally don't get that great of a whistle, but I think Shedeur, he's got a good personality. I mean, you saw him joking after the game with Tony Grassi, man. I like that stuff. And again, you saw him joking on the sideline with Myles Garrett, man. He might be a little soft-spoken, more so than Prime, right? I don't think anybody will be more outspoken than him between him and Shedeur, right? And Shiloh, maybe. But again, still Prime, right? But yeah, he knows how to work the refs, man. He's been working on that since he was a little kid with his dad. You'll love it. I don't know about this one. Shedeur Sanders fell in the NFL draft, so we all watch it. I think that there were some other things going on with NFL teams and owners, and they felt as if, again, he didn't have an agent. He went about things differently, right? And I think that some GMs, some NFL teams just looked into that way too deeply rather than just seeing what they saw on the tape and seeing how much he was liked by his teammates. I mean, that's really as simple as it should be, right? But I think it's hell obvious that the NFL benefits from Shedeur Sanders, man. Cleveland Browns benefit from doing it too. Yeah. Hey, buddy. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're having a great day. Good to see some familiar faces in here as well as some new ones. Appreciate it, Duke. Yeah. Y'all let me know if you got any more questions or comments around this. I'll go for a little bit. Nubian said, I don't know how much you watched of Shedeur at JSU, but he's always been a mobile quarterback. He ran more at JSU, but not so much at Colorado, only because he wanted to avoid injuries. Yeah, that's a really good point, Nubian. I remember when, this whole thing was announced and it was happening. One of the things that we were pretty interested in was to see how much of the zone read and quarterback running Sean Lewis was going to incorporate, because they did so much of that at Kent State. And you're right, man. Shedeur showcased great mobile ability, and I think it's safe to say he also took way more hits at Colorado, and that impacted his ability as well. Now, there was one game I remember, I think it was in 2023, against USC, where we saw him run more of that zone read and get out and just, try and lead and will the running game to being something. And I think they ran for like 160 yards or like 180 yards total with the team. But yeah, we didn't see Shedeur run it so much. But again, like maybe doing some of the testing would have like helped in the pre-draft process, but none of that stuff matters now. Again, when you turn on the tape, you can see that, again, he doesn't have this. Now, he has been clocked at high speeds before, but again, he's not, built in the mold of like Lamar Jackson, obviously, right? But he has like a feel for the game. He has a natural feel and anticipation of how to move around these guys, how to avoid hits, how to run away from pass rushers, all that. He does it really well. He just kind of has that natural feel for the game that I don't think can be necessarily taught all the time. It's kind of like instinctual. I think he's got that. Where's a good place in Boulder to watch the game? How about the Dark Horse? Is that still there? Again, buddy, I moved a year ago, so I know that there are plans to knock down Dark Horse, but I think it's still there, right? He put on a lot of weight too. Yeah, he was much faster, slimmer at first. And again, I think him putting on some of that weight, like he looked good, like thick, right? Thick there in the pocket. Like he looked like an NFL quarterback. Didn't look too short, didn't look too skinny, anything like that. He's going to be able to take hits. And again, so much of this narrative stuff got out of control for this, that, and the other, various different agendas. But this dude was like playing with freaking broken back. This guy's tough. D-Nice, yo, Dave, thanks for talking buffs. Shedeur has to keep grinding, and he will be legendary in the little things. Take what's in front of you first before looking for the big play. Yes. And again, like there are a few plays that I think he even mentioned. He's just like, I didn't play perfectly today. There's still a lot that I left on the table. Yeah, sure. But again, I'm just expecting to see him get better. Like there were a couple of those rollouts where he kind of undershot his receiver in the flat, and he hits those. So now he's getting fully adjusted to the NFL speed. It's different in preseason than it is in practice or in these scrimmages. And it's another speed once you hit the regular season NFL, but he's going to adjust to that all fine, because he's adjusted to every level that he's played at just fine, man. Yeah, it felt unreal watching him stand in the pocket for so long. I'm so used to seeing him run for his life. Absolutely. And again, I think that there are a lot of what happens with Shedeur is people will see like a clip or two or a play or two, or maybe something that, he says or whatever, and it's clipped. And people forget to like look at the greater context. And then there are a lot of assumptions made. You see that happens with Prime too. Again, I can't tell you how many other Big 12 content creators, for instance, that I've talked with over the last like year or so since we've been in the Big 12, and they'll message me or say like pre-show before we go live, they're like, man, like I was just really impressed and surprised with what Coach Prime was saying. Like, he wasn't talking all this trash and all that. That's not what. It's never what he's done, man. He's always just been self-confident. But he's never kicking somebody else down to put himself up. Never doing that. Now, he might have some beef in the media. What great doesn't? What GOAT doesn't? And you've also seen this in the quarterback evaluation, where they might have seen these bad habits come up at different points throughout the college football season, where you see him drifting or holding onto the ball too long, and they focus in on that. But then you're forgetting about the flash plays. You're forgetting about the comeback against Baylor. You're forgetting about what he did against Colorado State, that 2-minute drive. You're forgetting what he was doing TCU with a bunch of G5 rosters. It's crazy. People just they focus in on the wrong things. Yeah, there were a few checkdowns that he missed. Again, go check out Chase Daniels. I know that a lot of people are blowing him up because he's like, man, you should have known all this by Shedeur in college. Yes, we know. But I still did appreciate his film breakdowns. I feel like are some of the best on YouTube. Now, and buddy, you win from the pocket. You win from the pocket, and it's great that he has that mobility to get outside the pocket. He doesn't need to be Jalen Hurts. Doesn't need to be that. I think the Buffs win 11 games this season due to the secondary being able to tackle and play, the linebackers being fearless. The Buffs practices are a lot faster these days. That was one of my big takeaways from Buff Media Day, how much Prime was talking about the speed of this team. And I believe it. The speed out linebacker with Martavius French, Reggie Hughes. I think these guys get out to the sideline pretty quickly, don't you think? At least quicker than Levante Bentley. And I think Nakai Hill-Green was obviously faster, but I wouldn't call him a guy with elite speed. So I'm very interested to see what these guys look like week 1 against Georgia Tech, man. We'll have a pretty good gauge on the team speed then. But we're in the Big 12 right now. I think all these teams are fairly close when it comes to, the talent level for the most part. And because of that, man, the ceiling is as high as Big 12 champions. It totally is. I saw that the PFF college football guys, they were talking about the Buffs, still being a contender for the Big 12 championship. I think one of their co-hosts said, I expect them to win 9 games again this year. And that's awesome. With losing a Heisman guy and the Johnny Unitas winner, that's phenomenal. So, anybody thinking that this team's a 5-win team or not bowl eligible, I think is crazy, man. I think the ceiling, it's as high as a conference championship. It's a lot of dogs on the Buffs this year. You're absolutely right. I like the intensity, the mojo, and I think to me it just seems like this team is so together. And normally, sometimes when you got 2 quarterbacks in here, right, it can divide the team a little bit, man, or these guys might not get along. It just seems I've been so impressed with how unified everybody is. It's awesome. Now, Chase did not have a lot of great words about Shedeur pre-draft. I'll give you that, Wallace. That's absolutely true. And yeah, he's got some egg on his face now, right? Hey, I'm trying to. Hey, it's a lot of Buffs on the dogs. Let's not mention other NFL team fans. Wait, what are we talking about? I might have missed this. But hey, how would you put the Buffs depth chart or the Browns depth chart right now, Selmore? Let me know. Sideline to sideline, Hughes and French will be better, overall better than the law firm. Also, that turf will have them looking much faster. Yes, D nice. And I need to do a video on the Ford announcement, right? That practice facility, that's going to be freaking awesome. Getting renamed, getting more sponsorship. But the turf looks amazing, guys. I'm so glad we will not have to have a high school looking grass field out there. Selmore saying QB2, absolutely. Man, Shedeur, he made some of those special throws. Again, I remember as a Broncos fan, as you can see, that, Bo Nix made in his preseason. Again, I don't think Bo Nix had the most amazing stats. I think he had a little bit higher of a completion percentage because there was a lot of stuff just short past the line of scrimmage that was given to him. But there were, a few flash throws that you saw throughout preseason last year. Wow, man, this guy's good. And then you went and saw him put up a top 3 year, a top 3 season ever for a rookie quarterback. I think just behind Justin Herbert and Jaden Daniels with the best one of all time. So, It's about these flash plays, man. And one of the things that I talked about in my video yesterday, Selmore, was that Shedeur was so good over the intermediate parts of the field this past week. Let me go ahead and pull that up. I think that this is worth talking about. Thanks for bringing this up. Look at this. Isn't this a perfect NFL passer rating? Sorry, got to get my face out of the way. Isn't this a perfect NFL passer rating, 158.3? If not, it's like really darn close. Look at this, 4 of 5 over the intermediate part of the field, 10 to 19 yards for 80 yards and 2 touchdowns, 12.6 yards per attempt. Now, a lot of people, like, I remember listening to the broadcast that was the Carolina Panthers one, and these guys were going in on Pat Shurmur, just saying how terrible he is, man. He was going, how bad of that offense it was for Shedeur. And how all this stuff was like manufactured for him and all that stuff. There were some easy throws in the Pat Shurmur offense, as there should be in any offense. There should be some easy stuff. Not everything needs to be complicated. You need layups. You need plays to go get an easy bucket. Now, could they have done some better services with him or to him by having more of a run game involved? Yeah, absolutely. But, man, we're not talking about that. People forgot the fact that Shedeur absolutely obliterated the middle part of the field in college football. This guy absolutely obliterated it. And you saw that translate to his first preseason game, where none of these other rookie quarterbacks were anywhere close to as good over the intermediate part of the field as Shedeur was, man. Not at all. 3 of 4. Look at that. 3 of 4. 1 of 1. Let's go to his what he did in 2024. Not postseason, regular season. Look at this. Look at what he was doing, man. He was almost 70% completion percentage over the middle, man. And 4 interceptions, man, who cares? Look at that. Look at that PFF grade right there. Look at that NFL passer rating of 111.1 over the middle of the field. Look at that. Look at this. Between 0 and 10 yards over the middle of the field, just taking easy layups. That's what Tom Brady lived on his entire career, is this part of the field. This part of the field. Look at that. A 104.3 passer rating right there. A 91.3 passer rating. A 147.9 passer rating. Oh, my God. Oh, my God, I'm bricked up. That's what we saw. That's what I'm talking about. Selmore, dude, you're absolutely right, man. Dude, he's QB2. Let Joe Flacco go out and do his thing. And again, I want to remind people, it's no crime if Shedeur's not starting week 1, guys. You got Mahomes sat every single game except his final game of the regular season, week 17 at the time. Lamar Jackson sat his first 10, 11 weeks. Jalen Hurts, first half of the season, right? He sat. Josh Allen did not start the season as a starter his rookie year. Who else? I know I'm missing other guys. CJ Stroud. Talked about CJ Stroud. He's good. Of course, Jordan Love sat 3 years. Okay. Brock Purdy. Dak Prescott was a little bit different, as we noted at the beginning of the video. But he killed in preseason. Kirk Cousins. So a lot of guys who have started a lot of games did not start the first game ever that they dressed for their rookie year. And that's okay. There are other things I want Shedeur to get used to. Again, this game day preparation in the NFL regular season, seeing the speed of the game, seeing how Joe Flacco handles things, right? And if you start him week 1, there's going to be all this pressure on Shedeur to also win. With the Browns, with where they're at right now, there's no need for that added pressure. Go through the motions with Joe Flacco. saying, man, we're not winning enough. Maybe they win some games, but not enough. And then you say, hey, let's just hand things over to the young guy. And then you're able to ride with the ups and downs a rookie quarterback goes through. But ultimately, Shedeur can get better from that. Yeah, man. Is it bad that I have a feeling Dylan will stink it up the joint Saturday? No. Beijing Scotty, dude. Awesome name, by the way. Oh man, I hope Scott Proctor sees you. Oh man, I love it. I mean, we'll just have to see, man. We'll have to see. Again, I don't think Dylan Gabriel's a bad guy, but again, neither Shedeur or Dylan have been put in the right situation for them with how weird this draft capital stuff was. But again, I just don't see him having that upside Shedeur has. I don't think that's anything crazy. So it would not surprise me to see him struggle. Let's see. Let's see what else we got here. Yeah, absolutely, Selmo. Sorry, I was calling you Selmore. Sounding so white. Sorry. Selmo. Like Elmo. All right. Wallace Johnson. Hey, Dave, when you look at the pass he threw from the end zone, the safety was 35 yards down the field. Damn. They're scared like that. Yeah. That's an interesting case, Wallace, because I wonder if that, like from the defense, it's just they're calling something. I don't know. It was already 3rd and 15. Like, how much deeper you got to play? So I don't know how to explain that, but all I know, Wallace Johnson, was that Shedeur identified that hole being open within that coverage before that break was made on that dig route. He stood tough in the pocket, took the hit, and just delivered a dart. And not all drafted quarterbacks can do that. Yeah, people thinking they were coming to an audition. Instead, they got a showcase. And Browns fans, man, y'all deserve this. Y'all deserve this. Don't let off the pressure because you guys have been loyal. And I mean, pretty much throughout my entire existence, man. I was born in 92. So maybe in like 95, 96, y'all were good. And then y'all went off to Baltimore. Y'all haven't had anything to cheer about. Shedeur can change that. Again, he's changed at Jackson State and he changed it here at CU. And it's also like why we're all such big fans of his because he is a culture changer. I know that there were some people during his time at the Combine that were put off again by that little clip that they saw him say, if you don't want to change your culture, don't draft me. Well, what else is he supposed to say? Right? Some people just don't like confidence. Hey, Psycho Seminole, man. What's going on? Dude, how's your quarterback Constanelos looking? It's crazy what pocket passers can do in the NFL when they have a pocket, huh? It's amazing, right? That's right. Shedeur's he's just got to keep winning his reps in practice and in the game. He's going to do great. I got no worries about him when it comes to that. Why not in terms of starting him week 1? Put Sanders in and let him cook. Got nothing to lose. Sanders built for the moment. Legend in the making with any team. My whole thing is like, again, I think if you put him out there maybe a little too early, there might be some people in the organization or locker room that will just want the veteran quarterback, the guy that they can trust more, air quotes, like all those different things. I think when you make the move to a rookie quarterback, whether they're a high pick or not, I think organizations have to tread pretty carefully because you want to make sure that, again, you're doing it with 100% support right now. And right now it's clear there's a divide in the locker room. So maybe, having Joe go out there, stink it up for a few games can help unify everybody and say, yeah, we got to give Shedeur a shot. I'm just trying to think of like how the Broncos have fumbled this process, like over the last 10 years, aside from Bo Nix. And that, that's what the issue was, man. Just, they never fully supported their guys. And yeah, Obviously, Cleveland hasn't done that right now with drafting 2 quarterbacks and, all this stuff, but there's still time. There's still time for them to unify. Ha! 3-14 team deserves hope. 12 is him. Man, I love it. Hey, I'm glad for you guys, man. Hopefully you're bouncing back and you beat Miami this year, right? You should do a video on Prime Equity because I believe that Nike KFC jersey sales will surpass Tennessee's #1 pick contract. Ooh, with Cam Ward, I need to do that. I have a tweet bookmarked about how yes, the Prime Equity clause in Shedeur's contract might have again been another thing to disrupt the market, piss off NFL owners. These guys don't like giving up any sort of control or doing anything differently. You saw how much the second rounder guaranteed money stuff that started this year really pissed off a lot of people. So, yes, I will look more into that, Gennaro. Appreciate you, man. Hey, I love how our 2-10 team is getting slept on. Spread is looking nice week 1. Who are you guys playing week 1? And Florida State, how is Charles Lester looking? How's he looking? He hasn't transferred, right? Is he going to start for you guys this year? Now, I know what it feels like to be a 1-11 team being slept on, right? And then go out and kill it week 1. That's a lot of oh shit, man. Yeah. All right, man. I don't know if I can have your back on that one against Bama. I just don't know. But I'll be rooting for you. You better bet I'll be rooting for FSU. I'll be doing it. Man. Oh, man, that's hilarious. All right, guys, I'll get to a few more comments and then I'm going to go get some food. But I really do, again, appreciate everybody that's been in here. Be sure to smash the like, subscribe. We're on our way to world domination. Again, 15K is the next big milestone. And I got a lot of fun things coming for you guys this fall. And on David Talks Broncos, some new, never before done things, making history again this year. Hey, talking about Bama, who lost to Vandy? What is it? What? Wait a minute. Am I going crazy now? Didn't Vandy finish in the top 25? Or weren't they ranked for most of the year? Wasn't Vandy good last year? Wasn't this like Vandy's first good year in forever? Tupac Shedeur is about to be the youngest NFL billionaire. And good for him, man. Good for him. Show it to these other billionaires, man. Question. Who are the coaches on the hot seat starting the season? Are we talking about CU or are we talking about the NFL? CU, man, there really isn't anybody that I have on the hot seat right now because Andre Hart is goated. Brett Bartolone got promoted. We'll see what Michael Pollock does with special teams. We'll see how that goes. But there really isn't any position coach right now outside of, I guess, Pat Shurmur, because you got Byron Leftwich working with the quarterbacks. That has a Super Bowl ring. That was a Super Bowl winning play caller with Tom Brady. If Pat Shurmur has this offense looking disjointed to start the year, we've seen that Prime can have a quick trigger when it comes to switching play callers. Now, when it comes to the NFL, let me just go through really quickly. I'll give you guys. Now, most teams would probably say Brian Schottenheimer. That ain't going to happen. He's Jerry's puppet, but we'll go through here. Patriots no, Jets no, Dolphins. I think that this is a make or break year for Mike McDaniel. Maybe for Mike Tomlin, man. We'll have to see. Maybe Aaron Rodgers makes this organization finally implode. I think Stefanski, Zach Taylor with the Bengals, most definitely. Jacksonville Jaguars, no. I think Steichen with the Colts. I mean, that's already looking like another disaster again. Brian Callahan, I would say, with the Tennessee Titans. AFC West is loaded right now. You're not going to see any firings there. Brian Daboll, I think he's probably the guy that's like most likely to get fired right now. What else we got? We'll do anything with the NFC North, NFC South. Yeah, I don't really see anybody fully on the hot seat there. See what happens with Raheem Moore, but dude, I like what the Falcons are doing. And yeah, I don't really see. I mean, maybe I just think Kyle Shanahan's going to have the Niners in a good place this year. I just got a good feeling that like they'll be good enough to keep him around, but we'll see. They might be. Sometimes that owner can be like, I don't care if you've won games, we need a fresh start. Some do that with Jim Harbaugh. So there's my quick take, guys. Yeah, you like Salter, man? Me too, man. Salter's going to be great, and it's going to be awesome to have like a true dual threat here, man. It's going to be awesome. So y'all have a wonderful day. I'm going to be back later tonight to talk CU Buff stuff. And later this week, we will be talking about Wester, Jimmy, Travis, all the NFL buffs, right? Zay Weaver had a nice little, presser, preseason touchdown, all that. So be on the lookout for that. Again, guys, if you don't subscribe yet, I think only like 30% of my viewers are. So be sure to hit that subscribe and the bell so you guys know when I go live. Appreciate y'all, as always. Again, all the new people. If you want to have fun just talking football, enjoying Buffs football, or guys who are Buffs adjacent now, this is the place to be. Have fun. Enjoy your day. Go Buffs.